Today, I'm gonna give you the top reasons I think you should not be a photographer, but if you make it through this video and you make it through this list, I think you'll have a better idea of what it is to be a photographer and whether or not that's something you wanna do with your life and your career. Let's get into it. Photography is not conducive to a regular person's career choice or path or whatever. I don't want to discourage you, but I do want to be a little bit more of a realist and have you understand what it is to just be a full-time creative and all the little nitty-gritty intricacies that come along with it. One of the things I think that attracts most of us to this career path is the lifestyle and the ability to work on your own terms and not work for someone else. On paper, it seems very obvious that this can be a dream job for most people and that, you're being paid to do your hobby. How bad can it really be? There's definitely more than just meets the eye when it comes to the job and the career path of photography. Because when you start taking it as a business, you are, like I said, a client-facing business. So it's no longer about just taking pretty photos and trying to get lucky and having a nice sunset shot and being stoked on your shutter drag or whatever it is. It's about making sure your client is happy, not whether or not you're happy. And sure, there's maybe a little bit of a handshake that happens, but for the most part, it's about making sure that the people who are hiring you are happy and not about what it is, not about just shooting what it is that you want to shoot. One thing that's very important is to understand that the photography aspect, the time where you have a camera actually in your hands and you're shooting, I don't want to say it's few and far between, but it's definitely not the vast majority of your job. Your job as a photographer is going to be a lot more computer-based than you probably think it is, and a lot more meeting and relationships and growing friendships with the people around you and in your community than just taking pretty pictures on sunsets, So it's pivotal not to just see this as a cash grab or as a way to make money. If anything, it should be a way that you can make money because of the type of person that you are. One of the things that I've noticed is that the more I hang out with other photographers, the more I hang out with full-time creatives, the more I hang out with people that do this kind of line of work, the more I realize we're very similar types of people. I feel like the way we process things, the logical reasonings behind... Hey, bud. This is Marshall. Say hi, Marshall. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it's pivotal not to find this as just as a cash grab or as a way to try to make money, because the more I realize that other photographers have a very similar way of thinking and a way of logic reasoning, you're probably not the type of person who is functional in a regular office setting. As photographers, you are gifted the opportunity to be a creative and have a hobby as a career. So you're gonna have to be very competitive despite not having any of these kinds of rule books as to, because I'm a little all over the place here, but because photography has no rubric and no this comes after this, comes after this, comes after this. If you're the person who needs that structure and needs that ability to go up the ranks or to see what ranks you're even going up, this isn't right for you, because this is more the super competitive, internally driven type of person who will be just unsatisfied with themselves, unsatisfied with their lives, unsatisfied with everything that's going on around them, and will continue to work and try to make it better and not just woe is me and things always happen to me and I can't get ahead and blah, blah, blah. You need to be so competitive and so driven that people think you're delusional. That's part of the process. There's no bragging rights. No one thinks you're cool. Nobody thinks, you're literally just a nerd with a camera, and that's cool, that's fine, that's what I was. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying that you're not a big, cool hotshot like you might think you are in your head. You're glorifying having a cell phone and trying to get money for it. So for a while, if anything, you're gonna be, why would I pay $150 for your services when I could just get my cousin to do it for free? And that is not a healthy relationship in your mind, I guess, with your work. Oh, you have to come work on a Wednesday at 6 a.m. and then also next Thursday at 2 p.m. and then the Sunday after that, it's an overnight shoot. That kind of scheduling, that kind of ability to just be creative whenever, it's not normal, I guess. It's normal in our line of work, but it's not normal for regular people. And if you're not a client-facing business, if you're not a, especially a small 1 or 2 person operation that we are, there's so much back-end work to be done that you have to just be content about the ability to do it and not just, I have all this workload to do. Because you don't. All the work that you have to do will be self-imposed. And if you can't self-impose it, then you're not going to have a very good career. And if you don't self-impose it, then you're not going to have a very good career. So you have to find this balance of being maybe not lazy, but like a creative, all over the place. I don't have any structure. I don't have any rigidness to my life, but also have a bit of structure and a bit of competitive drive and a bit of like, I need to do this or else I won't be successful. And you have a little bit of that inner motivation to create and to, honestly, it's like you have to work 3 times harder just to, make minimum wage or just be able to have a living doing it with a hobby. You have to be okay with that. You want to be able to fall in love with that process and not just, I can't wait to land a Hollywood key art poster. That's not what this job is. This job is the ability to shoot and to create and to see a lens flare and throw flour in someone's face and all of the fun things that come with photo shoots. And if you can focus on those things and not just the back-end work or the emailing or the editing, if you're not into that kind of stuff, the more you'll be successful. The more you can just understand that, okay, this job is about the career outside of it and this whole, like you are a life photographer. Like it's not like if you work somewhere, that's something you do, and then you have the thing you like to do after, to forget about the thing you do. Or maybe sometimes it's synergistic, but honestly, rarely is it ever. So as a photographer, it's something that you don't necessarily switch off. And it's hard to be able to take that time to yourself and realize who you are outside of photography. But I mean, if you're young, if you're watching this in your 20s or 30s, you're going to have to sacrifice them, because if you're not doing it, someone else is. And I know that it's an unhealthy relationship to have for the most part. But if your whole life is photography, if your whole life is this pursuit of this passion project that you have, whether you're actively working or not working and just thinking about it and just ruminating in the back of your head, that's what all of us creatives and photographers and tattoo artists and musicians, like that's what we all do all the time. I'd never walk into any room ever and not start thinking about how the light is hitting things or how it's coming in or how, like I look at every photo or everything I look at is always, all right, I'm trying to dissect it and trying to see what it is that I can, how was that done? How was this done? And that kind of like always on thing, like most people don't like that. And most people aren't okay with that. They want to be able to go to work and then golf and not think about it or bitch about this or talk about that with their friends and then just like, there's a bit of that in photography. Sure, you can still have a life outside of it, but even in that life outside of it, I think you are constantly thinking about it. It's constantly on your mind. And if you're not the type of person that enjoys that, this isn't the line of work for you, because in order to be successful, I don't know anyone who isn't like that. Sometimes big jobs will fall on your lap, but that doesn't make a successful career. You know, anyone can take a pretty photo, anyone can get lucky with a contract, but to have a full-time sustainable career is effort, and it's a constant, putting that work in type of effort to get new clients, finish your taxes, finish those edits, all of fight with the gear acquisition syndrome. All of those things is what it is to be a photographer. And if that doesn't sound like it's a bad thing to you, then awesome, because that's what you don't want it to be, and that means maybe this line of work is okay for you. But if it does sound any bit of a nuisance, then there is absolutely nothing wrong with keeping this as a hobby and just having fun with it and taking away all of the BS stress that comes with trying to convince people that they need to hire you or trying to find a new, because the passion that you have for photography that got you started in photography is probably not what you're going to be shooting if you make a living at it. there's not a whole lot of photographers that will take a pretty photo and then sell a bunch of prints and have big old mansions in the hills. That doesn't often happen. For the most part, it's, okay, what is marketable? Oh, it's this? Okay, well, I'm going to shoot more of this. It kind of fits what I like to shoot. It fits my lifestyle. It fits what I can make it work. But this is clearly what's financially viable right now. And that's what I'm going to focus on. That's what I'm going to spend my energy on. And that's probably not what it is that you love to shoot. Maybe it's, always in demand because it's school photographers, or always in demand and it's commercial photography for food and beverage industry. Whatever it is that you're going to end up focusing on is probably not what you started shooting. Like, I love shooting street. Not a whole lot of money in street photography, but being able to shoot other projects, being able to shoot other things, and then using the free time that allows me to shoot street photography, or to come to Kelowna and go take some pictures just for the sake of it. That's what the beauty of photography really is. That's the flexibility in our schedule to be able to do this and then do that and then do this. There's a lot of perks that come along with this always on mentality and always being able to capitalize on the situations that you're given. But there's also a balance. I don't think I have all the answers, and I don't think you do either, but the more we can share and talk about a little bit of our experiences, I think the better we can become as photographers, because there's less secrecy. There's more openness amongst all of us and between what it is that we dislike. I don't often hang out with other photographers. I don't often fraternize with other photographers, but if I do, it's never about how to take a photo, or what exposure did you use for this, and did you use the 3-point flash system for that? It's talking about this experience that you had that you didn't like, or it's this client that was really demanding, or it's about the nitty-gritty of the business and not about the actual photography. The fact that we're both photographers, or that we're all photographers and we're hanging out, is, I guess, secondary, or it's an afterthought. It's just the fact that we're all client-facing businesses. So fraternizing with other, especially photographers, I don't think will get you very far. But if you can zoom out and try to find other creative businesses or creative professionals that do this consistently, you'll see all of this overlap. You'll see that they're always on. You'll see that they can't take time off. You'll see that even when they are off, they're still thinking about their craft. And you'll see that there's a never-ending need for finding new clients, or finding another next job to get another next camera, lens, whatever, or house, or pay that bill, or you owe, so you gotta work, so you owe and you gotta work. And trying to have that mentality with a hobby or a thing that you just love doing kind of ruins that thing a little bit. If you can focus on the fact that you get to do this thing, it's like, okay, it's kind of cool. But the photographers I know that have been shooting for over 10 years, rarely do we go out and shoot for the sake of shooting. Might have a camera with us and just capture memories, or have you go on vacation and you're like, okay, maybe I'll take a couple pictures here and there. But there's not a whole lot of, oh man, I just want to go shoot some photos. I just want to go create something. It's more about, oh, I want to create something that I can hopefully put in my portfolio and make more money with. It's not about, oh, I just want to shoot something for the sake of shooting it. It's about the commercial viability of it, because if you're not spending your time on that, then you should be. And if you're not, then that means someone else might be. And then that means you're losing out on the progress that you could have been doing. Is this mentality healthy for me to have, or for me to tell you guys to have? Probably not. But it's probably what you're going to have. That's probably the experience you're going to have. And it's just important for you to know that this will happen. There is a point of, I don't want to say burnout, because I don't consider myself burnt out. I don't consider a lot of the people around me burnt out. But there is a point of just separating yourself from the camera, from the photo. And it's like, this is a job. I'm capturing things for clients. I'm making clients happy, even though I'm constantly working at trying to find new clients and trying to always further my business. Right now, in this moment, I'm doing this shoot with this one client. All that's important is making them happy. Not making me happy, not making my portfolio happy. It's about them. Photography for me fits my lifestyle. It fits the way I want to live my life. So I found a way to make money with it. And I think that story is what's super common among all photographers and among a lot of creative professionals in different industries. Don't be afraid of it. It's still a beautiful process, but I do think that there is a lot that isn't necessarily shared about or glamorized in this line of work that you should be aware of before you decide to do this career path. And if you do, or if you are a photographer and you have been shooting for a while and you do this, maybe even if you don't do this full time, but if you do this for money, I think you can relate to some of this. And if you have something else to say, please shout it out down in the comments. Let's share a little bit of the just experiences that we've had that might, I don't want to scare younger photographers, but I do want to be a little bit more realistic and just show you guys that, like, you know, there's a lot more to meets the eye than just taking pretty pictures when you feel like taking pretty pictures and then having 3 phase 1 cameras in the background and then being able to just like, oh, I am an artiste and I go and I create gold everywhere I go and everybody loves me and is always praising me with attention, and like that does not happen. That's not what photography is. And if you're glamorizing it a little bit too much, you'll probably end up being pretty disappointed. I think this is a grind like any other job, and if you can look at it as a job, as a career path, and you can be excited for what you're doing, you'll be a better photographer. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a like on your way out. Maybe subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you in a couple days. Later.